World News 156, bringing you an update about Ferguson, Missouri. This is November the 28th of 2014. As you guys may have heard, the verdict is out on Ferguson. They decided to rule the cop not guilty, basically, not charge him with anything, and let him go free for killing this teenager. And I think that so far I've witnessed this being such a huge issue on so many levels to so many people who, some people believe that it's a justified verdict, some people believe that the cop was justified to kill the teenager, some people don't. I want to cover some of what's really going on, and I want to cover what the mainstream media is not telling you, because I have come across so much ignorance on this issue that it's just not even funny. So I would really like to go over some of the information coming out and, unveil some of the truth behind it. So obviously, these are some of the pictures that have come out of Ferguson burning, the buildings being looted and then burned. And I've gotten to hear from some of the insiders in Ferguson, and basically what they have to say is that they're not the ones looting and then burning their own buildings. And this is where most of the ignorance around the country stems from, is that the mainstream media has these people saying, and believing that, oh, he reached for the gun of the cop and, it was justified to kill him. But I think it's really important to keep in mind that people around the country are not just uniting for this one person. No, not this one person. People are uniting around the country because of injustices all around the country and the fact that people are tired of seeing and hearing about them. It's not just this one teenager. It's many. I can recall the year my daughter was born, one of our friends, he was 18 years old. He was killed by an amateur cop, and he shouldn't even have been out on the force. He wasn't fully trained. He killed our teenage friend. And, that never got protested about because it was just two white people. And I'm not trying to play the race card at all. I'm trying to say that it is white issues and black issues. It is a people issue that all of these injustices are happening. It is not just about this one black kid. It is about people all over the United States and the injustices that are going on and how fed up we are with it. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind. It is also really important to keep in mind that the people in Ferguson are saying that they are not the ones burning their own buildings. They're saying that hundreds and thousands of people have been coming in and looting and burning their buildings, and that they're really pissed about it. And there is evidence to back this up, by the way. So I wanted to know what was being done about this, because obviously the people of Ferguson are really upset. They feel like they can't protect their own town, and although we know that within weeks before the verdict they were stocking up on guns and ammunition, they were boarding up businesses, they totally expected this to be the case. It does look like I came across this small group of Oath Keepers who has really nicely volunteered to go down there to Ferguson, Missouri, and stand in the wake of all of this and try and protect these buildings, try and protect these people. Obviously there's not enough of them for it to be fully successful. If more people volunteered, I believe it would be, but they have a really small group right now that is trying to protect the people and help down there. They're calling it a private army or a private militia, but really they're just Oath Keepers. So I'll link this article for you. It's an interview with one of these Oath Keepers that is down there. And they are going down there and protecting the people and the businesses, because it is not the people of Ferguson who are burning their own buildings, as people so ignorantly are stating online, saying, oh, let them burn their own town, they're so stupid. They're actually not. That's just what the mainstream media is presenting so that people will not actually understand what is going on here across the country. And I think it's really important to put these issues out, regardless of whether you feel the verdict was right or not. The fact is that we're all sick of these injustices, and there are many of these injustices around the country, and that's why people from LA, Oakland, to New York City and DC are protesting. So obviously, you guys may have heard by now that these protests have spread well across the United States. Within hours, protesters had swarmed the Supreme Court steps. Within days, They had shut down New York Lincoln tunnels. They had shut down streets, highways in California, in New York, and then it spread to Chicago. So Chicago and California, Washington, D.C., all of the major cities across the U.S. are seeing these protests. And I think it's really important for people not to get distracted with seeing parts of the situation. You have to look at the whole. The whole is that there are so many of these injustices, and that's why people are uniting in this verdict, you know. It's just one injustice of many, and people are sick of it. And I think that's what you have to keep in mind when you're dealing with this issue, you know. And so we're seeing, you know, small private armies, oath keepers coming down to help keep the peace. And we know that on Thanksgiving, the riots were mostly subsided, or so they're reporting. And, you know, they're really overdoing that whole Thanksgiving thing, because obviously no one wants to be out rioting on Thanksgiving. So we'll have to see how it goes, you know, today. It's now 3 o'clock in the morning of the 28th. So we'll have to see how it goes today on Black Friday. But, you know, I think that we're going to see these protests resume. I think people are going to get more pissed as time goes by. And, you know, that's just the truth of it, because the real issue is that, you know, they have these ill-trained, ill-prepared cops on the force. And, you know, I feel that I can say that because I have had an amazing experience in my life. I have gotten to know one really amazing police officer, and he set the standard of good police officers for me. And nothing but this one police officer makes the standard. And it's because he was a martial arts teacher, and he trained, I mean, my husband and I took martial arts from him. My husband took them for years. I didn't take it as long as he did. But, you know, we had the amazing opportunity to take martial arts with him, and he taught us how to disarm people. I've watched my husband disarm people with live loaded guns. You know, like, it really works. And when I see these situations, you know, if you're wondering how I feel about this, I don't believe that there is any excuse for shooting to kill. That cop reacted in fear in the fight or flight situation, if you ask me. And he should not be on the force. And I'm glad to hear that he's never going to police again, or that's what his lawyer says. Because people who react badly in a fight or flight situation and, you know, react in fear, they're the ones that are out there killing people. And, you know, our sensei would have sooner made you sorry that you even pointed a gun in his face, because he could have disarmed you in less than 10 seconds. You know, that there shouldn't be these shootings, and you definitely don't have to shoot to kill. You know, it is easy to disarm a person. It really is. And there's no excuse for shooting to kill, especially shooting to kill a teenager. And that is my opinion, and you're welcome to have your own or disagree with me, and I'm fine with that, and I'm sure there's going to be a rip-roaring conversation down below. But, you know, this is how I feel. That our sensei was a police officer, you know, and he never had to kill anyone, you know, in self-defense or anything else, you know, because he was a master of self-defense. And I think if more police officers or more martial artists, you know, joined the force or were properly trained, we would see less of these shootings. But it's just sad that in our society, people have never seen that kind of a police officer, and so they settle for the meager, sad results of police officers that we have, which are just scared men in uniforms. They're scared men in uniforms who are more afraid of you than you probably are of them. You know, that's why they want you to do everything so slowly. You know, when you're trained in martial arts, you are very fast. You are quick. It's all muscle memory. And, you know, you're trained to respond to people, you know, trying to pull a gun, or pull your gun for that matter. You know, if we're trained so that if someone were to try and pull a gun out of our own holster, you know, we would break their arm. And I'm just saying that, you know, that would have taught the kid a lesson. It would have taught the kid a lesson. But instead, he was shot dead. There's no lesson there, you know, except for to the people of America who are now pissed. But like I said, it's just one injustice. And I think that these are the things we have to keep in mind when we look at this issue of Ferguson and how the protests are spreading. And, you know, regardless of whether or not you agree with the verdict, you have to be able to see that there are so many of these injustices. And, you know, that's all there is to it. So anyways, we're going to have to see, today's Black Friday now, how many of the protests continue. I do understand that there's supposed to be a bunch of Walmart protests today, so we'll have to see how that goes too, because Walmart employees are supposed to be protesting on Black Friday their really sad wages. So anyways, we'll have to see today what happens, but I'll link this article which basically talks about all of the protests going on from New York, Oakland, California, Los Angeles, Boston, Denver, Dallas, Washington, Chicago, Atlanta. I mean, all of the major cities. And I'm hoping that what I've talked to you about in this video will help you keep in mind, you know, why people are upset and why I think it's unacceptable that that cop shot to kill that teenager. You know, and I'm a white person, just if it makes a difference to you. You know, I don't think that just because of his history or his background or the fact that he had robbed a bank means that you should have shot to kill him. You know, everyone has a chance to change. Everyone does. And shooting to kill someone means that you ended their chance to change. And that's unacceptable to me. I don't know about the rest of you. But anyways, I'm going to link up these articles. And that is your Ferguson update.